Hey everybody, this is Beast. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Scottyallenday. So who are the hardest rockers to work for? What is the difference between fired and blacklisted? I figured I'd cover that today. And why two types of firing? And what stories do I have about roadies that were fired or blacklisted? And was this the same in country music? Because I did work on both genres of music. So, the reason I'm bringing this up is because somebody has talked about me getting personally fired by Dee Snider. Now, I'm not the only one that's ever gotten fired by Dee Snider. So, being fired by a rock star was, well, it was common. So let me tell you the difference between being fired and being blacklisted, and how you got fired and how just a few got blacklisted. So being fired means you're kicked off the tour. If you've done something wrong, I mean, in my case, I was partying when I wasn't supposed to be partying. I was partying when I wasn't supposed to be partying in front of Dee Snider. Dee Snider never did the drugs. He never did the alcohol. He put on a good act when he was around other rockers so that he could be able to fit in. But if people did it around him or around his stage or around his set, he would pretty much can you. Most of his band members knew how hardline he was, and his band members would do their stuff away from him. Me, I was stupid. I wasn't paying attention. I wasn't thinking about it, and I decided I would drink anyways. And so Dee Snider tore me a new one, and told me to get the heck out of there. I don't want you on this tour. To just about every roadie out there, you were fired. No biggie. You're just off the tour. If they did another tour in the future and you ended up working back on the tour, that's no problem. You were just fired from the tour. You were just kicked off the tour. You weren't able to finish that. And to a lot of roadies, they didn't like that. But to a lot of roadies, it made them learn the business. Now, because I was young and stupid, well, yeah, I learned. When I go up on the ropes, I don't drink. When I go up on the ropes, I don't have a harness or a bottle of Jack Daniels sitting inside, right beside me. A bottle of Jack Daniels, a Wild Turkey, or Jim Beam, or whatever. You don't go up into the rafters. You don't set the stage up while you're drinking. If the band had two coolers of beer or a keg of beer while they were setting everything up, nobody pretty much said anything. We all drank beer. So the difference between fired and blacklisted: fired, you're just fired. You can go off to another tour. You just give them a call and then you go. If it's premature, the only bad part of being fired prematurely instead of finishing the job that you need to get done, well, you're going to have to hitchhike or pay your own way to get to the next city, because the demand for you is not there. So, that's being fired. Being blacklisted means that you will absolutely, by any means, not tour again. You are done. You are on the list. Every music promotion company out there, anybody that does tours, and I believe Live Nation probably still has that list. If your name is on that list, you're done. There's been people that's tried to sneak back in and give another name. The minute that they're recognized by somebody, they're gone. They won't last a half a day. So, once you're blacklisted, you're blacklisted. Now, a lot of roadies got fired. There were roadies that got fired for sneaking people back in backstage, and a lot of rockers didn't mind that. They just went ahead and did that and said, "Hey, you know what? Chill, man." They knew the roadies wanted to have some kind of a date, and wanted chicks. Well, the chicks didn't want them. They wanted to go and party with the rock stars. So it was either that or you screwed up something on stage while you were setting it up and delayed the concert. You mishandled the wardrobe and a female got the male's outfits and the male got the female's outfits. But who cares? They both wore the same thing anyways. Pretty much. I saw one guy get blacklisted from Twisted Sister when he was caught trying to steal one of Dee Snider's wardrobes. The stage boss went around the corner. They saw this guy trying to stuff his outfit into a bag so he'd be able to walk out. So, hey, what are you doing with this? Oh, I was going to take it to the cleaners. And he said, no, you're blacklisted. You're done. Give us back our stuff. You're out of here. And in most cases, they'll get arrested. That particular costume right there is one of, I think, 3 different types that Dee Snider wore. And the guy was going to run off with it. He was caught, and he was blacklisted. This was done by the stage boss. The stage boss caught him. He was taken and prosecuted for stealing, and he was notified, and he was blacklisted all the way across the board. He couldn't even go into. He was so. I mean, he was banned so well that he couldn't even get a job at the circus. Now, the circus doesn't normally take anybody. But if you're blacklisted across the board, you're gone. You're done. You go and work at McDonald's. There was another one that a guy got caught smooching another rock star's wife. And the rock star caught him. And, well, needless to say, the road boss, the stage boss, saved him because he pretty much had a pistol up his rear end. And you don't want a rock star that's high catching you with their wife. Stealing equipment always got you blacklisted. Selling merch and saying that they didn't order that much and you get caught will get you blacklisted. Bringing in bootleg merch and selling it right there at the concert will get you blacklisted. I mean, this was just some serious stuff. I mean, we've had roadies and rock stars go and shoot guns inside of the Superdome. I mean, I've seen them do it at Madison Square Garden. I've seen them do it at the Boston Garden. I've seen rock stars running around trying to find the leprechaun or the monkey inside of the Boston Garden. The fabled monkey. So, in order to get blacklisted, you really had to do something bad. To get fired or kicked off the tour, well, maybe you need to go rehab. It's pretty much what the firing was. Because you're drinking too much, you're using too much, you're partying too much. Man, we don't need to have an OD. We got to get you off the tour. Go and get yourself some rehab, then come back to work. If you got to do a fight, nobody cares. There were some guitarists and some performers that if you touched their guitar, you were gone. They would try and blacklist you, but nah. The production companies, no big deal, it's water under the bridge. They touched your guitar. Keep your guitars with you. But I don't want it back on my tours. And okay. Well, the next tour, the guys went back on his tour doing what they're supposed to do, and they don't touch the guitar. Did Rockstar recognize him? Somewhat. Rockstar say anything? No. who needs the crew. So, people doing stupid stuff. We've had multiple people that would, when the concert's all done and they get ready to go back to the room and the liquor stores are closed and they don't have any booze, and they go and break into a liquor store, they get kicked off the tour. Have they ever been blacklisted? If the media picks it up, you're blacklisted. That's another thing. If you get into a fight, if you rob a liquor store, if you make unwanted advances to a woman where you ended up getting prosecuted for it, and it makes the media, you're gone. You're out. That's it. So that's pretty much the big kahuna is. And is it the same in country music? Absolutely. Only country music, some drugs, depending on the artist, were allowed, some were absolutely not. Some country musicians were saying, hey, you know what, you want to do a doob and drink a beer before the show? Let's go in the back. Just avoid Willie's weed. You go on tour with Willie and you ask him for a hit, you're gonna be in Simpsons La La Land for 2 days. And you won't be able to get out. I'm dead serious. Trust me. Don't believe me? Try it. So, the hardest rockers to work for, I'm going by my little list here that I worked on. One of the toughest rock stars that I've worked for was Ozzy Osbourne. Ozzy Osbourne was either enjoying his drugs, he was working with his band, working with his crew, constantly working with his music. And if you went to go and bother him over stupid stuff, you haven't heard Ozzy. Axl Rose was a perfectionist and a hardcore rear end. He had an ego the size of the Empire State Building. Why? I have no clue, but that's an ego. I did a video on those that are entitled. That was Axl Rose. An entitled Karen or an entitled Kevin, you got to put 50 of them together for Axl Rose. The other one that was a really hard one to work for was Madonna. Madonna was a pure, bona fide perfectionist. I've worked on about 3 tours with her. Everything from the stage, even the wires that are coming out from the stage, if they're not in a specific spot, she will have the crew take everything apart and make sure that those wires are in a specific spot. If the stage is too high, if the stairs where she comes down is too high, she'll have you go back up and fix it. She walked through the entire set on every one of my on every tour that I did to make sure everything was perfect. If you messed with anything on her tour, you are gone. Now, Madonna was a high-paying tour. If you got selected to go and work on that tour and you were a roadie on that tour, you made money. If you got selected and you were working on an Ozzy Osbourne tour, you made money. But Madonna, you made money. Blackie Lawless of Wasp, depending on his mood, he could either be your best friend, but the next day he'll stab you in the back and get you off the tour. He didn't like anybody. He was too neck and neck competitive to try and get himself above Ozzy. It was all about him trying to get above Ozzy, all about him trying to get above Iron Maiden. He didn't like being the second best. He was fighting to try and get that top slot. And he came close. He came close when it came to Black Sabbath. And he got so close, and then all of a sudden Ozzy went off into his own brand, and that was the end of it. Paul Stanley from Kiss was another one. He was another perfectionist, and You don't want to get Paul Stanley mad. If you got the costumes in late, if you got the stage set up late, you will not hear the end of it from the stage bosses, because Paul Stanley's on those stage bosses. I've seen him fire more stage bosses than I've ever seen anybody. So that's my list of the hardest rockers to work for. All the other ones, they were all good. They were all good. They were all cool. Axl Rose, depending on the time, depending on the day, if you had a successful run, if you had a successful sweep, he'll chill with you. But he had such a big ego, it was better off just to back off. Because if you all of a sudden start trying to become friends with him, again, he'll stab you in the back. Ozzy Osbourne was the same way. He only hung out with the people that he trusted. And the people he trusted was the ones that he hung out with because of what he liked to do. Madonna kept basically to herself, but when everything was ready to go, she would go through everything and make sure everything was ready to go and as perfect as possible. Paul McCartney was the same way. So, Dee Snider, well, I just told you about Dee Snider. Dee Snider was all about being clean. He liked being clean. He liked his band being clean. He didn't like the drugs. He didn't like the alcohol. He didn't like the hard liquor. He drank wine himself. He didn't care for beer. He let the crew drink the beer because, well, if he fired all the crew members who was drinking beer, that was the end of it. So, that's pretty much it. And, you know, being blacklisted from that type of circuit is the worst sentence you could possibly ever have. Because it goes into Vegas. Once you're blacklisted from working the shows in Vegas. Once you're blacklisted, you can't work for the magicians. You can't work the rodeo circuit. The rodeo circuit was always very important for roadies. So if you're in between shows and there's a big rodeo coming close by, and you need another week's pay, or you need a weekend's pay to get yourself going, you'd stop at the rodeo and help out. You had a concert route and you had a rodeo route. 2 routes. And they always intertwined with each other. And that was just to keep the roadies going. So, let me know what you think about this. If you want to hear more roadie stories about some of the things that people did to get blacklisted or get kicked off of tours, let me know. I'll be more than happy to come up with a bunch of stories to let you be entertained. Some of the stories I will not talk about the performer or the band, just to protect the band, because those stories belong with the band. When I was out doing my tours and I got really knowing a lot of the stars and the performers, and I mean, I hung out with Nikki Sixx, I hung out with Dee Snider. Well, Dee Snider, I was only on tour with him for about three stops. Ann Wilson from Heart, and she was the one that pretty much said, you keep your nose clean, you can travel for as long as you can. Ann Wilson was another perfectionist, and she was a perfectionist, and she was a sweetheart. It was a very difficult boss to work for, because when roadies went to go and work for her, she was very attractive, and everybody wanted to do Ann Wilson. And, well, when they tried to make an advance, they were gone. But I got all kinds of stories I can be able to tell, and Ann was the one that said, you know, the stories that you've seen or witnessed with the bands, stay with the bands. She told me I have a good head on my shoulders, but if one of these days that I want to start telling stories, be careful, because I could hurt the legacy of rock and roll. So if you want to hear some of the stories, let me know in the comment section below. I'll let you know some of the stories that I've experienced But I'm going to make sure that I don't talk about what band that they were with. But there's plenty of details where you can be able to enjoy the story and get a couple laughs. Drop me a comment in the comment section below. Hit that notification bell and that subscribe button if you want to see another video. And until next time, keep on rocking.